Hey, it's JJ Virgin, and welcome to the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show, where I talk nutrition, exercise, mindset, and lifestyle with some of the coolest people in the world. Plus, I give you tips that can put you into fast action to uplevel your health so that you can go out there and live the big life you're meant to live. Now, today's show is all about blood sugar balancing, but you're going to hear things if you've said, I know about blood sugar. Well, I have got some information that's going to literally blow your mind and help you make some big shifts. I have my buddy, Dr. Marie Loscalzo, and she is going to share with you. This is a gal who is in great shape, eats well. She's a doc. She does everything right. And she had elevated blood sugar. She's going to tell you the story. It's crazy what happened. And she's also going to share with you that if you are walking around with elevated blood sugar, which you might not even know about, by the way, she didn't know. And I found out the same thing, a similar story with myself, I share, that it can put you at risk for dementia, for peripheral neuropathy, for all sorts of things. So this is a podcast interview you are going to really want to pay close attention to. And again, in it, she's going to share really how to do this at home, how to use blood sugar monitoring as functional testing to design a lifestyle that will be perfect for you and creating the health that you want. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Ritamarie. I've known her for a couple of years. She's a chiropractor and nutritionist, and she combines the healing wisdom of raw foods and herbs with modern research to help people recharge their energy and reclaim their lives. Her website is drritamarie.com. What she does, she works through a series of, she's really into what's called functional endocrinology, which is looking at hormones, but looking at them as you live your life. And not only does she work with patients, she also has a lot of different online programs, and she also trains practitioners. She is amazing. She's been there and done that, and she has some amazing insider info that's going to blow your mind. We're going to pull back that curtain today. So I am excited to welcome Dr. Ritamarie to the show. Let's do it. So let's do it. Dr. Ritamarie, welcome to the show. I am so happy to have you with us today.
Well, I am so thrilled to be here today, JJ, and talk about a topic that's near and dear to both of our hearts.
Well, yeah, as you know, first of all, I believe that when you balance blood sugar, you fix a whole lot of stuff fast. But what I really want to start with is how this became so near and dear to you. Like, do you have some personal journey with blood sugar balance?
Yeah, I do. And I'd been dealing with blood sugar balance with my patients for years, and I always get people to get a meter and figure out what the right foods were for them. And I decided I was going to do this big time and do a large scale course on it. So I had 110 people signed up, and I wanted to make a video of me testing my blood sugar so I could show them how to do this. And so I test my blood sugar, and I'm like, it looks a little low. Let me eat something, see what happens to my own blood sugar. So I ate a bowl of pineapple, right? I made a bowl of pineapple, and just a little bowl of pineapple, and I ate it, and I tested my blood sugar about 15 minutes later because I'm impatient. I wasn't going to wait. And I was like, my blood sugar went up to 130. That's ridiculous. That must be a mistake. So I did it again, and my blood sugar went up to 140. That must be a mistake. And it kept going up until it peaked at 167. And I remember that number specifically, and I'm like, am I diabetic? What the heck is going on? I have this problem I'm trying to help people get rid of, right? So I discovered that I actually have insulin resistance, but it wasn't manifesting. I didn't have the belly fat, the brain fog. It wasn't low energy or any of that stuff. But I was manifesting it in these spikes of blood sugar. Then it'd come back down to normal. So all my blood work looked good. Nobody'd ever pick it up. But I'm like, I have this problem that I'm teaching about. Oh my God, why? Like, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm teaching these 5 pillars of balancing blood sugar. And I realized my biggest problem was I wasn't sleeping.
Oopsies. Yeah. And this is what's so key that people need to understand is you can be normal weight. Anyone who would have looked at you back then, I'm sure you haven't changed dramatically since I've met you, is, you're fit, you're healthy, you look awesome, you eat well, you exercise. It's like, okay, but you could be doing everything right.
Everything right.
But you don't know. And this is the great thing is you don't know unless you test. So, testing blood sugar, because this is such a simple one. How do you teach people to test their blood sugar? And what do you tell them to look for?
Yeah, so they get this little meter. You can go to any Walgreens or CVS store. You can get it for $10 to $15.
What's it called?
A glucose meter.
There you
This
go.
particular one was like True to Go or something like that, glucose meter. And I chose that because the replacement strips are very inexpensive and some of them are really high because the insurance companies pay for them for diabetics and you don't want to get caught in that. So anyway, I get this blood sugar meter and you want to know what is your body doing in response to food. It's one thing for you or I to give somebody a list and say, these are the foods that you should avoid and these are the foods you can eat. But even within that food list, there's some things that certain people can't eat. And there's other things that affect your blood sugar, like lack of sleep or like over-exercising, under-exercising. And guess what? Getting stressed out.
Oh boy,
like
yes.
Yelling and screaming at your partner, right?
So someone gets the glucose meter, and what do you teach them to do, and what are the ranges you're looking for, and what are what's good and what's
Yeah. So there's fasting blood sugar and there's what's in medical terms called postprandial, which means basically after you eat. And your blood sugar should be at this really nice low level first thing in the morning when you get up. So I teach them to take your blood sugar when you first get up and just see. That's not going to give us a whole lot of information. It just will tell us if you're already.
And what number are we looking like? What's good at first thing in the morning?
I think 75 to 85 is really good.
Okay.
Right. It could go a little lower. It could a little higher starts to get into that hairy zone where you increase risk of cardiovascular disease and all that. So I like 75 to 85.
Yes. And just for full disclosure here for everybody, because you just shared that story, I've figured out my food intolerances. I have low sugar impact, I exercise. If I cut my carbs too low or I don't get good sleep or I'm stressed out, my fasting blood sugar will go to 90, 95.
Yep.
And I see it and I'm like, there it goes.
What did I do?
Right?
And it's really great because it empowers you to go, okay, what did I screw up yesterday? Oh, yeah, that was that. Yeah. I stayed up till 3 a.m. getting that last book chapter finished or whatever. And it impacts dramatically there's studies because I was like, it can't be that much. 4 out of 5 ain't bad. I'm doing all this other stuff. And I look and start doing the research and the research bears it out that even one night of bad sleep can create insulin resistance in a healthy person for the next 24 hours thereafter. Well, put that together with 3 years of bad sleep and you got some issues here going on, right? So one of the things it does empower you to know that is that when you have bad night of sleep, be extra uber careful about what you're eating the next day.
Yeah, which is so hard because as you know that when you have that bad night of sleep, what do you want to have the next morning? Because it's really not salmon.
It's not going to be vegetables and salmon, right? No, not at all. It's going to be like, give me those chocolate chips look really good right now.
Awesome. Now, so you tested your blood sugar in the morning. Now, then you talked about doing it after you eat. So let's talk through when you do it after you eat, what numbers you're looking for there.
Yes, because that's the critical piece, and that's the piece that most Western doctors
that's the functional piece. Well, how do they do it? They either have you do your fasting, or they go in and you do that glucose, and hopefully it's a glucose and insulin tolerance test. But how normal is that? Most people don't sit down and chug a bunch of sugar water, and so it's totally non-functional.
Not functional. So what I do is I teach them to do that right before they eat a meal. You test it again because something could have happened between waking up and eating, even if it's your first meal. And if you test it first thing in the morning and then you test it right before you eat and it's up, you're like, okay, what did I do? Did I get stressed out? Did I overexercise? Did I yell at my partner? Whatever. So you go ahead and you test it right before the meal. I like to teach people when they're first testing it to do it every 15 minutes just to catch the peak. But the peak usually happens between a half an hour and an hour. Why is it important to catch the peak? Because that's going to tell us how good your glucose management mechanisms are. The docs will say, oh yeah, just tested it 2 hours after a meal. And if it's under 140, you're fine. And I'm like, it should never even get close to 140, let alone 2 hours later, it should be back down at 85. So I teach them to look for their peak. So in the first days of charting, they're testing more frequently because you don't want to miss the peak.
Okay. So again, let's look at those peaks. What's ideal and what's scary?
Okay, ideal is 110 or less at peak, right? And when they do studies with people, even when they put them on a glucose tolerance test with the 75 grams of sugar water, of carbohydrates in water, they basically don't go above 100 to 110. So 110 is really nice. Above 120, studies show the peripheral neuropathies that diabetics get, when they can't feel their feet and then they get all those infections, the damage starts when the blood sugar is above 120. The retinal damage to the eyes starts when the blood sugar gets above
This
1.
is such a big deal because there's so many people walking around, and again, they look normal, they're eating healthy, and that's the big question, because we also know that this elevated blood sugar increases your risk of dementia. I mean, this is so big.
Yep.
So big. And I love that you're talking about the fact that it's not just about what you eat here. I mean, that's critical, but as we know, stress plays a big role. I know we're going to talk a little bit about exercise because it can actually make things worse too.
It can. Exactly. Yeah. So you're looking for it to be no more than 110 at peak, and then it should be back down to your baseline at 2 hours. And a lot of people are shocked, like I was, to find that my sugar went up to 167. But here's the thing that I found.
That still blows my mind.
On pineapple. And people say, oh, well, it should go up for pineapple. No, if my body was doing what it was supposed to do, it would have produced insulin. Insulin would have gotten the sugar in my cells. It would have come up and down and no big deal. But the point is that when it gets up that high, there's a lot of damage that's happening. And my both parents died really young. My mother died suddenly of a heart attack at 56 years old. My dad at 62 years old, suddenly dropped dead. That's it. And I'm like, oh, we didn't know that. We look back and I could say maybe they have a little extra belly fat and maybe they did have insulin resistance. But I'm thinking every time my sugar's going up like that, my artery walls are stiffening. They're getting stiff and brittle. And so I'm putting myself at risk, the same risk as they are, even though I'm eating a whole lot better.
And some of this damage you can't undo. And that's the other part. So you get those results. They're not where you want them to be. Yep. Like, what's your checklist of what you do then?
Yeah. So I have this five things you're going to look at. We look at what's the diet. We look and the supplements and the nutrient balance. We look at the fitness. Are they doing the right? Are they over exercising or under exercising? We look at the sleep patterns, and really the 7 to 9 hours has been shown to be what you really need, and in a repair state, closer to 9 hours. And then we look at the stress levels and how that is managed throughout the day. Not do you meditate once a day? That doesn't matter because you can be a basket case the rest of the day. And then the last piece I look at is how are you timing all of these things? Because timing is critical.
This is so here's one that I would love to pull out of there is I'd love to pull out the exercise piece of it, because what I've seen and what I like to say is exercise is like a drug. So that means it can be therapeutic or destructive. It's all about the dose. But people don't look at that. It's one of those things that we look at and people go, oh, more is better. And it's like, no, more is not better here. So like, let's share some stuff on exercise, because I think people don't realize that you can absolutely impact your blood sugar and create poor health with the wrong type and over exercising.
Absolutely. And I know you're a big proponent of burst training. And so there's some scientific studies with graphs and everything that show that 30 seconds of all-out burst can elevate your growth hormone, which is a real protective hormone and opposite of insulin, which is the problem here. And it can do that for up to 45 minutes later. 90 minutes later. 90 minutes later. And they compared it, and you can look at the graph next to 30 minutes of aerobics, and you get a higher peak of growth hormone, which is growth and repair, fat burning, put the lean muscle on. Better in 30 seconds of burst than 30 minutes of aerobics.
Well, and let's just talk like reality here. The reason people don't exercise is because it takes too much time, right? So, I mean, I've heard from some people, I'm working out 1 to 2 hours a day. I'm not losing weight, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, what if I told you could do it a couple times a week for, if you're doing a couple bursts, it really is something you can do in 12 to 15 minutes. Absolutely. So it's awesome.
It's awesome. And even better than that, the 12 to 15 minutes is awesome, right? And I keep my little exciser right by my desk, and I'm alternating all day.
Oh, you're using the exciser too. Absolutely. I love that thing so much. It's so awesome.
Stand-up desk. But the thing is about it is that you can do it, and these are the studies show, it's the repetitive bouts that keep your growth hormone up higher, but it's not like too quickly. So I know it's great to do those exercise bursts where you're doing 12 minutes and you're alternating with 1 to 2 minutes, 3 minutes off, and then 30 seconds seconds on, those are great. But even for people who don't have the 12 minutes, if you were to spread those bursts out, like 4 to 8 bursts spread out throughout the day, you can actually elevate your growth hormone just as much and sometimes higher than doing that all out intensity. And who can't find 30 seconds, like 4 to 8 times a day?
Well, and you don't even
Really?
sweat in that time. You know, it was interesting. I ages ago, I helped someone on ABC's Extreme Makeover, getting ready for like a ridiculous amount of plastic surgery, but she had to lose some extra weight before she did all of this stuff. And so I had her bursting all throughout the day. I had the exciser, and I'm like, you know, we just had her, because she had such a crappy metabolism that we just had her burst. And so you don't think about that, but it's great to put that exerciser right where you'll fall over it. You know?
Exactly. I can trip over this as I'm going to go down
exactly.
to get
Exactly. That's so awesome. It's such a perfect thing. Okay, let's go grab one more because I know we're up against the time here. But you did mention meal spacing, and I would love to hear and I have no idea what you're going to say here because I know I have definite ideas here. Yours might be completely opposite of mine, which is fine. I'd love to hear what you've seen clinically and what you recommend.
Yes. So this whole thing, I have several blog articles on the myth of meal spacing. What do they call it? Frequent meals. I'm not a fan of small frequent meals. I think what happens when you do small frequent meals is that you're elevating your insulin all day long.
I'm jumping up and down over here because I literally, Ritamarie, I didn't know if you were like going to say, well, to keep your blood sugar stable, you should eat every couple of, and to me, it's like, well, if you do that, you keep your blood sugar up. And if you keep your blood sugar up, you keep your insulin up. And if you know, so I'm so beyond excited to hear this. Okay. So now I will pipe down again and let you keep going.
Yeah. So if you're eating all the time now, insulin, people maybe don't realize what insulin is. It helps get your sugar out of your blood and into your cells. But it's an anabolic hormone, which means it puts fat in the system. It builds. I mean, it can build protein too, but basically its job is not to break down. So you actually cannot fat burn when there's insulin in your system above the baseline. So as soon as insulin goes above baseline, like after eating, that's it. Fat burning stops. If you want to be fat burning in between meals, if you want to be fat burning while you're sleeping, you create a situation where there's low insulin and high growth hormone. And how do you do that? You space your meals.
Yay!
4 to 6 hours between meals.
Yay. I'm so excited. And that was such a poetic way to describe it because it makes me, I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. I'm looking at some of these books out there that say eat every 2 to 3 hours, have a snack right before bed. And it makes me just want to tear my hair out. So with that, I'm going to leave on that high note. And I'm just going to let everybody know about where they can learn more from you because, I mean, obviously you want to get more of this information. I know you have a lot of great resources at your website, which is drritamarie.com, drritamarie.com. And thank you this was an awesome interview. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me here and for being so excited and enthusiastic about the topic because this topic is it turns me on.
Oh, it turns me on too. We're two total geeks here. We have just geeked out officially in front of everybody. Yeah. All right. So after the break, I'm going to be answering a listener's question. So be sure to stick with me.
JJ's favorite type of exercising is burst training because it helps you stay younger, burns more fat, and best of all, it only takes 4 minutes a day. And the simplest way to get your workout in is with Exciser, the built-to-last stepper that can give you a killer workout in just minutes a day. You can even take this compact training unit on the road with you because it's easily portable and super lightweight. Visit www.exciser.com and take a look at the machine JJ personally uses and recommends to her VIP clients. Visit www.exciser.com today.
Welcome back. This is the time where I answer a listener's question, and today's question comes from Christy in Alabama.
Hey there, my name is Christy Kaiser, and I just want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to JJ Virgin and just the stand that she's taking with just health and nutrition. I so love her and just so appreciate just the knowledge that I've gained from her. I'm just so crazy about her. If I could sit down and have a quick question with her, I would want it to be about, portion control. And I know she talks about eating by the plate, which is really great. But And I try to do that. Getting off sugar and eating clean is not an issue for me. Like, I feel like I eat so well and I exercise, but I feel like when I get off track is when I'm eating a little too much of the almond butter and some of the other good fats like avocado. And I just wanted her to talk a little bit about that. And I love the idea of not counting calories, and I don't want to be bound by that. But anyway, I know she talks about trigger foods and how she loves almond butter and doesn't even buy it and keep it in the house. But anyway, I probably just would love to come to some more balance in that area. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So I get this question all the time because I think we've been so trained to look at calories rather than look at where those calories come from. And what I found is that when you start to really eat by the plate, which means that you're eating optimal amounts for you of clean, lean protein, you're getting in 5 to 10 servings of non-starchy vegetables a day. So that's 2 to 3 servings at each meal, and a small amount of slow, low carbs and a good amount of healthy fats. When you start to eat that way and really get in touch with your body, you can tell if you're where you need to be. In fact, you can tell if you didn't get enough protein in or you overdid it on carbs. But at first, you really need to focus on looking at each meal and looking at how much of each of those areas that you've got so that you optimize it. And because what those things do, and it's really about getting fat, fiber, and protein to optimize blood sugar so you got a nice steady supply of energy to your body and you can start to utilize stored fat for fuel. So ideally, you're getting in, and you did bring up one thing in here, and the big areas, Christy, that I see people need to watch are carbohydrates, specifically fruit and grains. If you are eating grains, make sure they're gluten-free at least. But ideally, if you're eating grains, you're sticking with things like wild rice and quinoa only, which are really grasses and seeds, not grains. And things like squash and sweet potatoes and yams. When you are eating carbs like those, you need to really watch the amounts. And also you need to watch things which you brought up that are trigger foods for you. Because yes, dark chocolate's great, but not if you're going to eat the whole bar. And yes, nut butter's great, but not if you're going to eat the whole jar. I didn't even mean to rhyme, and I did. So those are the things you want to watch for. Number one, watch if you have a trigger food. I know my trigger foods. I've proven them over and over and over again, and they are definitely nut butter and dark chocolate. So I keep those ones away from me in places I can't handle them. So that's number one. And number two, get really clear by using a food journal on your portions. You want to have optimal amounts of clean, lean protein each meal. That really, for most, I'm going to say the average size woman, that's about 20 to 25 grams of protein at each meal. You want to keep your starchy carbohydrates low. That's probably at your breakfast and lunch, no more than 25 grams, dinner 25 to 50 grams. And then lots of non-starchy vegetables, pump those up. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about you overdosing on asparagus or Brussels sprouts. And then get in 2 to even 4 servings of healthy fats. Because one of the things that happens is if you pig out on fat, like almond butter, like avocado, you're going to feel so full that you are not going to want to eat for a while. So that would be, to give an example of this, that would be like using my protein shake. 2 scoops of my protein powder, a scoop of my extra fiber, and then adding in a half of a small avocado and some coconut milk would give you, and then if you do any fruit, maybe half a cup of berries, that would get you in the carbs, the protein, the fiber, and the fat that I'm talking about. Another example at lunch would be a serving of chicken breasts over a bunch of greens with some sauteed peppers and onions, and then add in a third to a half a cup of black beans, and that in some guacamole. And you can also use some little olive oil vinaigrette on that. And there you go with your healthy fat. Like if you had a half a cup of guacamole in there, and then you had your peppers and onions and salsa, and your little bit of black beans and chicken, you're getting an ideal amount of each of those. So get that feel. And again, this is where recording it down in a food journal so you can look at how much protein did you have. Make sure you don't overload it on the carbs. way less in the morning, a little bit more in the evening to help with sleep and help with men boosting testosterone production. Remember, you don't want to go no carb because over time this can actually stress out your adrenals and cause a rise in fasting blood sugar, and carbohydrates can help you with sleep and help you with boosting your testosterone in the evening. But the biggest thing is to follow the plate, which I talk about and I have resources on my website, jjvirgin.com, and to record this in your journal. Because if you're tracking your food journal and you go, gosh, I had lunch and I'm starving a couple hours later, look back and say, did I get enough healthy fats at that meal? If I had a salad, did I have good clean dressing, like an extra virgin olive oil? Maybe I added some avocado or some nuts, or I used wild salmon, so I got my healthy fat there. So did you get enough healthy fats? Did you get enough low carbs? Did you load it up with veggies? And did you get some clean, lean protein? When you do that, you'll be able to start to get really in touch with how much you truly need. And that's what's so important, is the ability to go through this own personal discovery process so you can connect the dots between what you're eating and how you feel. All righty. Now, if you'd like to submit a question, just go to jjvirgin.com/ask, and you can leave a voicemail for me. I can't wait to hear from you. And one more way I'd love to hear from you, I would hugely appreciate it if you could jump on Stitcher or iTunes and leave a review for me. It helps a bunch. And be sure to subscribe and share the show with your friends. This is JJ Virgin signing off and reminding you that you are worthy. Dare to live a life that matters.